call to order. Public comment on non-agenda items. No public comments, okay. Do we have to add that item now, or do we?
Yeah, you
We have
probably
an
should
item
ask
to
them.
add, an emergency item from Dr. Story. Irrevocable trust. Okay.
Right.
So we will add that as a discussion item, and that's an old item or a new item?
Hold on.
Old item. So the old item, we will add number 4, irrevocable trust, right? Okay. We put it first, all right.
Okay.
So we're moving all the others one level down, so we'll put that one first.
Thank you.
And then, Dr. Norman, for the new items, is that an what's an action item or? No, not, okay, very good. All right, well, next we move on to review and approval of meeting notes from the 16th of March. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Very good.
I'll second.
Second, discussion on the meeting, on the notes. Nobody, thank you, Ms. Carlos, for taking good notes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Opposed? No. Abstention, all right. Information items, Superintendent President's update. You all know that 2 weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago, we had a great announcement, the PCC promise. And, we have had a very positive press since from almost all quarters of our district. We do believe that this is going to provide a great opportunity for students to just focus on their studies. Yesterday we had a principals and superintendents luncheon at the college, and it was very well attended. Superintendents from every single district were there, and those who could have two who could not make it had their assistant superintendent present. And I did tell them that we will be working on something that we do believe, based on data available nationwide, will have a significant impact on improving our graduation rates and helping our students graduate faster. And what I'm asking the instruction side of the house, working closely with student services, to do is I want them to focus during this coming year on creating a 2-year schedule of classes. Right now we have a 1 semester schedule, and then we do the next semester, and then we do the next semester. So students that come to ECC, they know what they're going to take in the fall, but they do not know what courses will be offered in the spring and what time the courses will be offered. But I'm asking our instruction side of the house, working with the deans, working with student services, is to prepare a schedule for at least 4 semesters. Every student who takes at least 9 units will be meeting with their counselors and will have their schedule set with the times of day when there will be classes. Their names will be enrolled in a will be registered, if you want, in a pre-enrollment system, so that they can know that if they're succeeding in their classes, what the next 3 semesters will be like, so that those students that have a job don't have to worry about whether I should be going to work at 9 a.m. or taking my Calculus 2 or Calculus 3 or my biology or my geology, things like that. So studies done nationwide have shown that this has significantly helped students to stay focused and complete their classes, because they know what they'll be taking in the next 4 semesters. And they know the time they will be taking those classes. We hope that this is going to help our students. Hiring is going very well. So far we have hired 5 full-time faculty. We have also hired an executive director for fiscal services. That position has been accepted by the interim person, that's Ms. Hedva Weingart.
Correct.
I do believe that for the director of student equity, I think the committee is reconsidering their thing because we did not have a finalist so far. And then what other positions do we have?
The Assistant Director of Educational Partnerships and
Yes, the
Programs.
assistant with that position has been filled also, and that's Javier Ramos, right?
Yeah, I have a question about the student. I think when you I'm on that committee.
No, I think no, maybe I didn't see it the right way. See, the committee will be meeting. How would I say that? I guess I shouldn't have said that.
We chose 3 people.
Yeah, I know, yes.
And they will be going to you.
We did the interview.
Oh.
We interviewed, and so Cynthia will be meeting with the committee and give you feedback on that.
I see.
Okay, so Cynthia will be meeting with the committee and feedback. So, and
We also have the supervisor of student business services
Okay.
going to board next week for approval.
okay, so that also, right? So those are the positions that we have filled so far. Okay. Then the foundation, as you know, is moving forward with the fundraising, the major gift campaign, right? And then the summer schedule that will come from Dr. Juni, I believe. The summer schedule is out already? Or not?
May 1st.
May 1st, okay. All right.
Monday.
And this will conclude my academic affairs update. Dr. Juni.
So the summer schedule comes out May 1st.
All right, so that's it?
No. As just to follow up on your comments about hiring, obviously a lot of hiring going on right now. My world is a little bit of in a blur because of all the interviews that I'm in. As Dr. Verdian mentioned, 5 of the 25 faculty positions have made it through 3rd level. And there are quite a number that will be reaching 3rd level, so the interview with Dr. Verdian and myself over these next couple of weeks. So a lot of good work is happening by those committees, and we're quite encouraged by that. The 2 dean positions are also moving forward. The social science one is a little bit further ahead of English. But those are both moving well, and so I'm excited about all of that, but at the same time a little bit exhausted because of the amount of work that all of us have to put into that. And then as I'm sorry I came in late, so I didn't hear all of your comments, but I'm assuming you said something about the 2-year schedule.
Yes, yes.
And so excited to start working with the deans and others on what that might look like. As we start, basically, the first step from my perspective will be working with the Office of Institutional Effectiveness to determine the appropriate data that we'll need to be able to build a schedule that far in advance that is a good, strong schedule that meets student needs. And so we're excited about the work that will go into doing that, and obviously we're starting to work on that now. So.
All right. Dr. Olivo, Student Affairs.
Hi, everyone. In Student Affairs, we're also busy in interviews. We are, I think, at 2nd level for our counselor positions, and we're hiring a couple of managers for our Trio Talent Search federally funded programs. I would also add that we are developing the process for students to get the Promise Program scholarship. And that includes us doing the work to create a query to let students know automatically when they qualify, rather than adding to the steps for students to apply to the scholarship. So we look forward to that, to simplifying the process for students to get that Promise Program scholarship. And I would say those are some of the highlights. I would encourage all of you to attend our equity events. Next week we have on Tuesday, Rob Johnstone will be here during the day. He is a national expert, and he'll be sharing a lot of information that he's been working on with other colleges throughout the country and California community colleges as well. That'll be during the day on Tuesday. And then in the evening, in collaboration with social sciences, they selected to bring Tim Wise here. And so that'll be next Tuesday evening. So I encourage you to please participate in those events.
Business Administrative Services.
The budget team has been actively working on the budget for next year. We're currently waiting for the May revise to be released by the governor, which should come out in the next 3 weeks. And we'll build in those final numbers into our tentative budget, which will go to the board in June for approval. And how the budget process works is, by law, we're required to have a preliminary budget approved by the board as of July 1. And that takes us, but the state budget's not final until July 1, June 30th. So we really need a few more months to prepare the final budget, which goes to board in September. So we need to have a tentative budget approved by the board effective July 1, and then we'll approve the final budget based on the final budget from the state in September. We had our external auditors in over the last couple of weeks doing interim field work. What our auditors do is they come in during the year before the year's over, do some test work, and then they also come in after the year closes to do their final field work. So that was a productive visit by the auditors over the last couple of weeks, and so far it looks like we will not have any findings at this point in time, which is good news and consistent with what we did last year. As far as open position goes, one more under my area, that's the executive director of IT, and that's currently in the interview phase. That concludes my report.
All right. Standing Committee report, Facilities and Sustainability Standing Committee.
Hi, yes. So the committee met yesterday. The latest from that committee was, there was a report on, previously was some Braille signage concerns at our restrooms. That has been rectified, but DSPS, Reuben are taking some of our existing floor plans and planning a campus walk to test all Braille signage and make a recommendation. So we don't have any current issues to resolve, but there's potential that they may identify more in the future. Regarding sustainability work with the students, students are working on having open forums for students in the community to have educational sessions. They would invite at 3 different times during the fiscal year 17-18 guest speakers to come in about social and environmental sustainability issues. Also at that meeting, students reported that they are looking at developing zero waste norms for student clubs. They're looking at what they can do to have a zero footprint in their events and in their day-to-day operations. Also, we provided an update on the status of the U-Building development. RFQ has been reviewed, and a recommendation is going to the board and should be on the agenda this May to solicit architects for the new U-Building. And that's my report.
Very good. Accreditation Standing Committee.
Hello, everybody. The Accreditation Committee, I think as you all know, separated from P&P last year, and we held our first inaugural meeting on March 23rd. Not everybody could be there because so many people are involved in hiring, but we did have a very large group, and I was extremely pleased to see 4 students there who were very engaged and extremely participatory. They were very, very good participants. Lenore and I reported on the ACCJC conference that we attended. It's the very first conference ever that ACCJC has had, which is sort of a telling comment in itself. But we attended, and it's their main point that they were trying to get across to everybody is that they are trying to get away from the fear that everybody has right now about accreditation. And they understand that that is their first priority, is to ensure that people don't feel that fear. They have been giving out 18-month letters to colleges that may not meet the standards, giving them 18 months rather than putting them on sanctions. But they're even rethinking that at this point. And they're thinking that maybe they've been too harsh with the 2-year rule. And that as long as colleges are moving towards what they need to do, that maybe the 2-year rule doesn't need to be as strict as it is. So it was a very different atmosphere, and it was a nice conference. And they also said there'd be some flexibility in regards to the disaggregation of SLO data, because they understand that institutions are struggling with that. And we have a variety of ways that we can disaggregate it. We can look at basic skills versus non-basic skills. There's a great deal of flexibility, and it's up to us on how we want to do it, to some extent. The committee reviewed the role that they have and the reports that we're involved in. We just submitted the annual report at the end of March, and we are involved right now in the midterm report, which will be a report on the 49 AIPs, actionable improvement plan items that we identified when we did the last self-study. And also the self-study just generally, which isn't due for us for a while, thank goodness. In the midterm report, they're adding in a data component to it, which has not existed previously, where they're asking us to report on institution set standards for course completion, degree completion, certificate completion. And they're also asking us to create stretch goals, which are inspirational goals. So it is, I've talked to Crystal and I've talked to Valerie. It is our plan to work collaboratively with PMP and with the Senate to be sure that we're all creating these in a way that makes sense for everybody. We did discuss the midterm report, which needs to go through all the constituency groups in the fall, so that we be sure that we get it in on time, signed and appropriately in the spring. PMP did an update at our meeting, and again, we realized that we need to collaborate closely with PMP, particularly in light of this data that they're looking for. And we created meeting norms and goals for the next academic year. We want to complete and submit the midterm report on time, and we want to next academic year, educate the campus on the standards, and that's what we did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Stephanie and for Kathy?
Stephanie.
No, I mean Stephanie personally.
I was like,
Stephanie, you have a
we
unique
get
name,
each
and
other's
there are.
emails all the time, so we just cross.
All right. Okay. New item, discussion and possible action. Dr. Norman, EEO plan.
He's in the old items. Oh, sorry.
No, he's an old item.
Oh, I thought, sorry.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Nice try.
I'll make myself clearer next time. Sorry about that. All right, EEO item,
Okay,
Dr.
just
Norman.
very briefly, I know you all have the document in hand. It is a lengthy document, so I'm only going to share some high-level information, the reason why you have it in front of you today, and then also the fact that this is still in draft form. We're still trying to make sure that under our analysis section, that our what we're saying is accurate to the information that is in the data. But when you look at the charts, you will recognize that that information is accurate based on our system. So the charts are up to date, but our analyses, we're still trying to scrub that a little bit more. Just to give you a little bit of background, the EEO plan is a requirement of the state that has to be updated once every 3 years. And the purpose of the plan is to have educational institutions look specifically at historically underrepresented groups. And they identify that by race and ethnicity and gender. But it also asks us to go deeper than that by disaggregating the data and looking at specific classification types to see how we are faring in certain groups, to see if, for example, there's a predominance of perhaps males in one group, or a predominance of a certain race or ethnicity in certain classifications. So we really have to break the data down a lot more than just saying, this is our overall picture. It's important to note, though, that the state hasn't provided educational institutions with any identifying information as to what they consider underrepresented groups. They have left that responsibility to the institutions to determine that. That is one of the changes that I'm looking at making in this new 3-year plan. In our 2014 to 17 plan, we look specifically at our what's called our majority group. What is the group that is by race, ethnicity, gender in the majority? At PCC, it has remained the same, and it's still considered the white population is the majority. But when you look at the student demographics, it is the Hispanic population that is the majority. So what we're doing this year, because the state allows us to look at the data from more than one angle in terms of looking at what is significantly underrepresented, we can look at it as the majority group, and we can also look at it as the student population. We want to look at both this time around, because we recognize the importance of providing a diverse staff for the students we serve. And we want to make sure that we are looking at it from every angle, so that as we are hiring and we're looking at specific classifications, we're not so focused in a one-dimensional way, but looking at it from a more holistic approach. And so with this effort, the intent is, now that you've identified perhaps an underrepresented group or more, what are you going to do with that information to improve it? And that's where the tail end of the plan comes into play. So just to give you some high-level information, and you'll find this on your page 21, you will notice that we have bulleted out our total workforce population. And the first area we looked at was our gender, or that our females represent 56% of our total population, and males are at 44%. In 2013, so you'll see we kind of did a comparative analysis, because the state really wants us to look at more I'm sorry, it's my page 21.
Yeah.
I may have printed it different, sorry, I apologize. 31, I apologize, 31, sorry. And I have my glasses on, it's really sad. But the state wants us to look at longitudinal analysis, so that's why you'll see that side-by-side comparison to see how we've done over the course of 3 years. So you'll see that just as in 2013, as it exists today, our classified clerical job category is still female dominated, that they are 90% of this particular group. But the male employees are a majority in the classified skills craft at 99%. We looked at 2013, the Hispanic population has increased in the classified clerical positions from 32 to 38%. Classified management, there also has been an increase in that area as well, from 18 to 30%. So, and I won't read each of these, but these are the ones that we really kind of highlighted, because we felt that those demonstrated a little bit more of a statistical significance than in some of the other areas. For the most part, what we have seen so far is that we've either seen an increase in certain demographics, certain areas, or we've seen some stability. So as employees are exiting the institution for whatever reason, retirement, or maybe going elsewhere, we are hiring back, not necessarily at comparative rates as what we hired initially. For example, we're starting to see a shift in the number of white population employees are actually going downward. And so what that means is predominantly one thing, that we're starting to see that we're hiring other diverse groups entering into the institution. Where we don't see a statistical significance at this point is in necessarily one group alone. And that's not a bad thing, because it's showing that we are spreading out in terms of who we are bringing into the institution. So we're not so focused on one group and missing other groups. However, there is one group that we do need to focus on and target a bit more than most, and that is in our Asian population. Even though we've seen some increases in that area, we recognize that 24% of our student population is Asian. And yet overall, of all employees, only 8% of our total population are of Asian descent. We also recognize—
Just a quick question around to everybody here. How many Asians are in administration? I mean by that, administrators, managers, supervisors. How many Asians are there in that group?
You should know.
I'm asking if you know. I'm asking if you know.
I don't know, I don't.
Stephanie says one. All
I was
right.
looking at the chart in front of
And
me.
then
Yeah.
you could cheat.
I was like, I know
Okay, what
there's
did
a chart in
you
front of my
say?
face.
Adamirano, Tito.
Well, there's at least 2.
At least 2. All right, Cynthia.
There's 2, Kepmani and you.
Well,
No,
but
well-
you shouldn't have to defend the answer when you gave the answer. There are only 2. In the whole Asian, in the
3.
whole administration, supervisors, managers, administrators, and so on. Only 2.
She's classified.
Kitmani is Kitmani, and then me. And me, I mean, I can.
We move you around as necessary.
Yeah.
You'll be in this classification.
I think the president automatically counts for 51%.
Oh, thank you. All right, okay.
So,
Sort of, I'm
no,
sorry.
that's okay, that's okay.
And it
because
depends on
actually
whose
I was
definition you're
there.
using, too. It depends on whose definition of what an Asian is you're using.
That's the federal government's definition of
Okay.
Asian, which goes back to your ethnic origin. Even though I got nothing Asian in me, I mean mostly African, but I don't qualify in the federal rules, I qualify as Asian.
Okay.
So that is one area that we have identified as being significantly underrepresented. Part of the change that we're looking at making that you don't see here yet is going to be how we identify what is considered significantly underrepresented and just underrepresented. So we're looking at what we're calling our subgroups, all the other groups that are in the minority of the majority group being at a 15% threshold. So if we can work in the effort to get those groups up to about 15%, even though in some areas it will be very difficult to do so because it's just based on your population that exists also, sometimes in your area. But in terms of significantly underrepresented, we're looking at like a 0 to 7% as being significantly underrepresented. And that's going to be broken down by classification, not just by total population, so we can look at the data a little bit more deeply. And then those groups that are just underrepresented will be from 8 to 14%. And we're going to provide a color-coded chart so that everyone can see how we stand in terms of various groups and the efforts that we're, of course, making to try to change that. So on that end, what we're also looking at doing is trying to change how we engage and recruit for different diverse groups. Part of it is how do we get the word out? How do we share who PCC is? What is the direction we're moving? What is our mindset as a whole, as a campus? And part of that effort, I think many of you probably participated in Dr. Culligan's training for the hiring committees. That was one of our efforts. We're looking at a level 2 training, which is going to be a much more in-depth training that goes beyond the level 1. The level 1 is the mandatory training. The level 2 will not be mandatory, but we're highly encouraging everyone who participated in the first level to participate in the second level. That's going to be a little bit more of kind of role-playing and having opportunity to kind of see or pretend like you are on a committee and having some of those difficult conversations. That's being developed right now. We're also developing, and I don't have enough copies for everyone, but we're also working on a new webpage. It's an equity and diversity webpage where we're trying to grab all of our efforts, our various groups, African American Advisory, ALE. We're trying to put all the information here as well as identify what are the things and activities that are happening on campus, in the community, as well as add information that's educational to kind of spread the word and to help on that end. We're also looking at creating little postcard pamphlets about who PCC is in terms of diversity and equity so that we can disseminate that wherever we need to and wherever we go, whether it's recruitment or any other effort that we're doing that we can pass that out. And then we're also looking at infusing a bit more into our new employee orientation that we just started and trying to make sure that as we continue with our onboarding processes that we look at adding that level and layer of diversity into that as well. So there are a lot of things that we're doing that's going to go beyond just we use this particular link and when you apply, maybe you'll go to the African American website to apply for a job. And I'll give you an example. I've been doing this, of course, for a number of years, and one of the efforts that's pretty generic is what do you do to recruit a more diverse population? Well, most institutions will tell you, well, we use various websites, right? We use Asian and Hispanic, and there's always websites that you can use. But in reality, are we really getting a lot of hits on that website? Are people of that descent or origin going to those particular sites? Now, me as an African-American female, I can tell you I have never, not once, and I'm in HR, I've never gone to those websites when I look for a job. And I know they exist. I go to the Chronicle, or I go to the Higher Ed, I go to the popular website. So we know that these efforts are not going to make a huge difference in changing the culture. So we need to go beyond that. So those are the things that we're looking at and trying to infuse a different way and a different, feel in terms of who we are at PCC and why we want to bring in and build the diversity that we have. So that's all that I have, unless you guys have any questions, but yes.
At the Senate meeting, you had mentioned the newer classification as to Caucasian numbers going down with adding biracial and multiracial groups.
Yes, thank you.
And does that mean the charts will be different, the numbers will be different, or is that for future?
That really won't change a whole lot. I think they were roughly about 2%. So when we look at statistical significance across the board, that 2% is very small. So you won't see a huge shift. I think where we're starting to see the shift with the Caucasian population is that it's spread across the board. We're seeing a slight increase in Hispanic, a slight increase in African American, a slight increase in Pacific Islander. So we're starting to see increases across the board. So it doesn't look necessarily like one group is moving a lot. It's the entire institution, which is a good thing because we're trying to move all groups forward. So that's really where, and we are starting to have, we brought that, we are seeing that now in 2017, more individuals are self-identifying as 2 or more races. We didn't see that in 2013, but we're seeing that now. So that is one area that we
Can
saw
somebody
change.
unilaterally say that they belong to this group or that group, regardless of what?
It's
or
a
they-
self-identification. Yeah. That when you
So
apply,
Dr.
it's in
Stoney
there.
can just say that he's Asian.
If he applied
is?
that way. If that's what he put on his application.
You can just say there's no verification of
No,
that. It's
we can't verify
self-identification.
that.
How are you gonna prove he's not?
I'm no expert in that field, you know, so I'm just asking.
That's all you
We
can
can
do,
probably
right?
solve our own problem by asking all our folks to self-identify the different group. We'll solve the
It might be a
problem.
little suspect
Who's that
if
woman?
there's like a big change.
Yeah.
How are we needing all of the underrepresented?
Okay, any question for
I
Dr.
have a
Noel?
question.
Yes,
All-
Mr. Whitworth.
Everything you talked about in here was all had to do with hiring and getting people, but yet half of this document talks about the complaint process.
Yes, and
Is this gonna be
that-
addressed at all?
Well, that is actually the components that are required of the plan. So the
Okay.
state tells us, this is what you have to put under each component. And so we basically follow their guidelines and we put in what they ask us to put in. They want to see, of course, how each institution is addressing that.
Okay.
The reason for the complaints is because with historically underrepresented groups, if there's a discrimination claim or something to that effect, they want to see that you have appropriate processes and procedures in place to address those. This plan has been around for ages, and so in terms of the factors that they want us to address.
Right.
Now, there has been one change that I think is pretty significant that they just recently created last year. It's called the 9 multiple methods. And I think if I had to guess, Mark, in part, it may be because some of the institutions, one, weren't doing their plans, and two, part of the reason they may not have been doing their plans is they weren't seeing the importance or the relevance behind what they were asking for in the plan. It was kind of the same old same.
Right.
So the 9 multiple methods are now a design to look at pre-hiring, hiring, and then post-hiring. And they've broken them down into areas of 3 groups. So they want us to report on what are all the things you're doing in the pre-hiring process. What are you doing in the hiring process, like the EEO, the EEO trainings and how are your committees composed? And then what are you doing in the post-hiring? Are you offering mentorships, leadership training, these kinds of things? So now the state's starting to shift their focus. At some point, I do believe those 9 multiple methods will become a part of the plan. They just haven't gotten there yet. So at this point, we are actually doing 2 reports. One is just here's the bullets of all of the 9 multiple methods, and then here's our EEO plan. It just so happens ours is due at the same time, so.
Well,
so, yeah.
what I'm talking about is toward the back, all of this has to do with complaints. Sexual harassment complaints.
Yeah.
Discrimination complaints. Is
Exactly.
that being looked at, or are you only focusing on the front of this?
Oh, no, all that's being looked at,
Because
yes.
the text of this, some of it violates PERB law
In terms of,
in terms of the accuser's rights to information prior to an investigation.
okay.
So I think that has to be addressed.
Okay.
There's major problems with that.
Okay, yeah, and so in terms of the information that we have in here, what we've done is we've taken our policies and procedures, and we've dropped in, for the most part.
So
the
that's just a
policies.
copy from that.
Yeah, that's, we didn't reinvent the wheel on that. So
Okay.
that pretty much is following policies and procedures. That gets dropped in here. And then the other part of it is there a form that follows that? So we put the forms in here, we put letters.
Right.
So that's kind of what it addresses. But if there's something specific, that's why I put it in
Yeah.
everybody's hands in advance, that if you have a question or concern, please let me know. That's why I'm trying to give us a window of time before we finalize everything. So if you recognize something, Mark, that is a concern, just let me know,
Okay.
okay?
If you go back to Mark's question, so does it say that the plaintiff has the right to request information? And I thought Mark
Or
said
which
that.
kind of complaint?
I don't know, that's-
You want me to quote it for you?
Yeah.
I'm not sure which.
Yeah.
I think it's page 20, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
What
It
is-
says, the accuser, let's see. Well, it's a couple times in here for all the different types of complaints.
Okay,
And to be informed of the general nature of the charges, and that's a violation of PERP law. You have to tell them specifically what the charges are, or give them a summary of allegations.
No, you don't have to.
I will give you, you know what, I will
No,
email
no,
you
no, no.
this,
At
the
at
section.
At the college level,
Right,
right, the chief officer, that would be Dr. Norman, she would not read the charge as it is to you. She will give you a general that, but that will be released later on to your,
well,
To your
you
legal
cannot,
counsel.
according to PERB law, you cannot interview these people until they know specifically what they're being interviewed about. So if you just come to me and say, hey, Mark,
Yeah.
you're accused of sexual harassment,
yeah.
and that's all?
That's all you will get.
Well,
That's
but
all-
that's a violation of PERB law.
No, absolutely not. That's
I'll
not the law.
send you
That's
the
law.
case. I'll
That's
send you the
That's
case.
the law. But now, your attorney right, is going to liaise directly with the district's attorney, and at that point, the actual charge will be given. But you as an individual, that's all you will get. That's all you will get. I'm telling you, that's the.
We're going
that's
to
the-
have to agree to disagree, and I will provide citations if you
Okay,
like.
because I have seen that on many occasions, right?
We've
And-
seen it too.
Yeah.
It's a violation.
But that
It's
will have
still
to
a
be-
violation.
It would be, it'd have to be an official request coming from a legal.
No, absolutely not. It comes from the union. It's the union's right.
To
It
get
has
that directive?
nothing to do with it has nothing to do with lawyers, because most of this is never gonna involve a lawyer. We're not gonna run out and get a lawyer just because somebody gets a student's complaint. And the idea that you think you can interview these people without them knowing what they're being
Oh, you're
interviewed
talking about the
about?
student complaint.
A student complaint that has to do with discipline or sexual harassment.
This is not a
It's
student complaint.
still a student
This is not-
complaint?
No.
No.
This is employee work.
Staff to
No,
staff.
no,
There's,
Yeah.
this is not a student
there's a
complaint.
different area that's, that
These are
doesn't-
not student complaints?
No.
I thought I read in here it was
No,
students.
sexual harassment.
Those are
Those are
Yeah.
not
policies.
student complaints. Those are not
Okay,
student complaints.
wait. Okay, go ahead.
But there, I think what you might be thinking, Mark, is that if a student files a complaint
Right.
in an area that crosses into protected class,
Mhm.
then those things do eventually make their way up to like HR.
Right.
So you may have seen students.
Eventually, they get there in a
Well, it
heartbeat.
depends
We're
on
talking
how
about
soon I hear
eventually.
Because sometimes
Eventually.
I don't hear things literally until 2 years later, so it depends. So, so you may see student in that kind of reference. I'm
Okay.
just guessing, I don't know. But whatever you find, just let me know.
Yeah, but for student complaint, yeah, that you will get.
Yeah, and
You know
I'm
what?
here
Hey,
for
wait a minute. I knew I did not read this incorrectly. Thank you, Dr. Junie, for pointing that out. It says specifically students.
Okay.
That's who can file a
For students, you
complaint.
get everything.
Right.
So,
For students,
yeah.
you get everything.
Right.
It
For
lists,
students, you get everything.
It lists everyone who
Yeah.
can complain. Students is the first one listed.
Yeah, students
So-
can, they can certainly complain if
Well,
it's a
so that, so
violation.
why are you saying, why is everybody saying, no, it's not students, it's not students?
Well, I did that, I
Okay,
thought that was
okay,
just
okay.
for, yeah.
Anyway, that needs to be looked at. And we'll probably be addressing that in negotiations anyway, so,
All right.
yeah.
All right, any
Alright.
question, any additional questions for Dr. Norman?
And who's the,
Okay, all right, we move on to the next item, BP 5010, admissions and concurrent enrollment.
you need that for class.
Yes. Do we need Dr. Norman here or?
No, we're done with you.
That would be,
Well, that would be
okay.
okay, all right.
We
Thank
actually
you.
added the addition of the IEC as a
Yeah, I know.
standing committee
All right.
to the agenda. Addition of the IEC as a standing committee to the agenda. Did everybody get this memo?
Yes.
Yes, right.
Which is now up on the board. So the leadership of the IEC is asking to be added as a standing committee of college council. With the revision of BP 3251, they no longer report to anybody, and they would like to report to college council.
Right.
So, this is just the first read, we'll bring it back again, but if anybody has any questions or concerns about this. Everybody good? Everybody understand why we're asking?
You know that the IC should never be reporting to the Board of Trustees.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
That's why we.
yeah, we
But
changed
every
that in
committee
the Senate.
should report to someone, and so the IEC is asking to report to this group. Okay.
All right.
Now, sorry about that.
No,
Back
now we
on
go to 5010 now,
Yes.
admissions and concurrent enrollment.
Let me get that. Dr. Ginny, would you like to talk about this? Here, are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
you're
Dr.
here,
Ginny
yay.
is here.
I am. So, you're gonna have to help me.
I will.
So a couple of things. First of all, board policy is both admissions and concurrent enrollment. And then there are two APs, one that deals with, so 5010 deals with admissions, and then 5011 deals with admissions and concurrent or dual enrollment. So we've split the dual enrollment part out of the admissions AP. And so what this is dealing with are some of the changes that have occurred both at PCC but within the state with the passage of AB 288, which allows for dual enrollment to occur embedded in high school class time, and for us to still collect apportionment on them if they're embedded and only have high school students enrolled. And so so many of the changes basically are dealing with that. And so in AP 55011, you'll see reference to CCAP and non-CCAP partnerships. The CCAP partnership would be for dual enrollment courses that are embedded internally within the high school schedule and are open only to high school students, not to community students. There's a list of criteria that we must follow to still collect apportionment on that, and some of that is broken down in here, but not all the details, obviously. The details of that will be in the MOUs that we have with the partner districts. And then the non-CCAP basically is really what we have been doing prior to the passage of AB 288. And for those classes, for us to collect apportionment on those classes, they have to occur outside the high school day, and they have to be open to the community, not just to high school students. And so that also requires us to work with the high schools for them to be okay with having community students on their campuses. And so that's kind of the 30,000 foot of these changes. I don't know if you want me to walk through the specifics, Crystal, or if I think those are fairly obvious based on the cross-outs and the bolding that you have in the BP and the APs.
Maybe you could ask if somebody has questions.
Yeah, if anyone has questions, obviously, I will gladly. Answer.
Just so I can clarify,
What's
the
that?
initial
Or does anyone
draft of
understand?
these were written by Susan Bricker, our Director of Admissions and Records, who's very familiar with Title V and ECHO. She went through it, then it went to Terry, who then did his questions and edits on it, and he and I discussed it. Susan's out right now. She's at a conference, but she did send me an email, and because she said that she has confirmed with her colleagues at this conference that we are authorized to exempt concurrently enrolled students from paying non-resident tuition. So I'll have to go back through and edit this, so any reference to non-resident students' tuition can be removed from the APs.
I mean, let's verify it well before, because very often at conferences you get information that has not been verified by anybody.
She said
Yeah.
she talked to
Okay,
people
so-
from the chancellor's office.
Yeah, I would
If you
verify
think
it.
they're wrong, I'm good.
No, I'm not saying they're wrong, but I think we let us verify
Yeah.
it from our end before we do that.
And
I'll
I
check with
agree with
Susan.
Dr. Burdian, but
Yeah.
I believe that I've heard that in conversations with people from the Chancellor's office, but I would still say let's actually
Sure. All right.
get specific names from the Chancellor's
Yeah,
office.
get a
in
specific
regard
name
to-
from that, because we need to know the level at which that was said.
Right.
And so this is only a first read,
Right.
and we'd like it to go out to the constituent groups, so for everybody to take a look at it. We'll bring it back at the end of May. And at that time, we should have been able to confirm the non-resident admission.
Very good.
Okay? If you have any questions on these policies or procedures, I ask that you give them to Terry or Susan. This is
No.
my expertise, but it is theirs.
And-
Although if you ask me, I will try to get you an answer.
Okay.
And if you send those questions to me, please copy Jo Ellen on it if it's an email, so that she can call to my attention that you've asked me a question.
All
Because
right.
I'm in interviews right now, so I'm not looking at emails.
About AP 5011. We do.
Oh, that was, yeah,
Okay,
that
very
was
good.
also, yes.
All right, so we're done with new items. We move on to old items, and we will start with the new item we've added, that is the irrevocable trust fund. Dr. Story.
I'm bringing forward an item for action that we've discussed here a few times, and we also discussed at our BRAC committee, and that's the irrevocable trust for our other post-employee benefits. So to provide you with some background, what OPEB is, it's employees who serve a certain amount of time with the district and retire. If they serve 15 years and retire, they're provided health benefits. So the district incurs a liability each year that an employee works. And that's for current employees and employees who have served the district in the past. And we've had an actuarial study performed, and the amount of that liability is $31 million. The district has set aside funds over the years, and the total amount set aside as of now is approximately $15 million. And without an irrevocable trust, the funds that we have set aside are invested with the county, and the return is less than 1%. So on a $15 million investment, we're earning about less than $100,000 per year. So, you know, all of us, if we had that kind of money and we were earning $100,000, I know I would be disappointed, and I hope you would be as well. The option is, if we establish an irrevocable trust that we transfer either a portion or all of that funding into, we have more leeway as far as how we can invest the funds. And there's a lot of other community colleges that do this, and they're earning anywhere from 6 to 10% on that investment. So if we were to set aside the entire amount, we could earn in excess of $1 million. And why that's so important is because right now we're trying to balance our budget, and we're looking at every possible expense. And currently our general fund needs to set aside $4 million per year into the OPEB liability account just to maintain the liability that's growing and growing. So if we have another $1 million from the income on this investment, it means we need to take less from our general fund. And some important points to note that were discussed at our BRAC committee were, one, once you set the funds aside in the irrevocable trust, you really don't have access to those funds. So you need to develop a strategy on how much to transfer over. So I would suggest initially that we would transfer over, maybe $5 million and go from there. But the process would be, is I'm asking this committee to consider, and what's been brought forward from BRAC to approve establishing an irrevocable trust. But if that happens, the next step would be to establish a committee on campus with all of our shared governance groups to oversee the irrevocable trust. So that committee would determine who we hire to manage the irrevocable trust, how much we transfer over, what investment strategy we use. So right now, we're just asking for approval to move forward with establishing an irrevocable trust. So if there's...
And that committee will include representatives from the unions, from the governance groups and everything, right?
Exactly.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Let me ask you a question. Why haven't we done that?
That's a great question. Yeah.
It was brought up in the past, but I think that I don't know who was against it.
The accrediting team asked us.
Huh?
I had to write about it in the
Yeah.
last accreditation
Yeah.
report, and they asked us why.
This is a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You're getting,
And if we
it's
don't...
like keeping your money in the credit union. I mean, you get 0.05%.
Right.
Instead of putting it in an investment firm and getting 5%. Right? But anyway, so thank you for that. So, are we done with this item now?
Yes.
But okay, oh,
Yes.
God, okay, all right.
Good.
Yes.
Campus Climate's mission statement review committee. How are we doing with that, Ms. Colrose?
You want me to do it?
Yeah, sure. We did have a good meeting.
We did.
yeah.
We've actually had 2 very good meetings. Very engaged group of people have attended both meetings. At the first one, we just talked about process, communication, some ideas about how to generate ideas for mission statement and what direction we want to go in. We had a second meeting where I actually sent out to the committee drafts of mission, well, not drafts, actual mission statements from a bunch of other colleges around the country. We went through all of those and drafted 3
Right.
possible new mission statements for the college, which are just basically revisions of our current. And we're in the process, we will meet again, and at that point, hopefully, we will have something to bring back to this committee. I always like to sleep on things for a few days before it's the final product. But it's actually making excellent progress, which actually leads me into the next piece.
Hold on, before we get there,
Sure.
maybe a
Well,
quick question on the mission statement.
Sure.
Do we have campus-wide forum planned?
Thank you
Yes.
for that, because that actually leads me into the next one, which is
Ah.
the campus climate survey.
Okay,
Where this year we chose to add questions, the committee thought this was a good idea, where we added questions on the mission statement. So,
no, I understand that, but for the mission statement itself, are we going to have we set up dates to have?
not yet, because
Okay.
first we have to give them something to look
Okay,
at.
all right, okay.
What we wanted to do was do through the campus climate survey was ask questions
Okay.
about our mission statement so we get more input on the wire.
Okay.
Because we don't want to go out
Oh,
with something
okay.
until we're
Right,
ready.
all right.
So we added questions on the campus climate survey, which is going to get launched tomorrow. These are the questions we've
Okay.
added. We've included the full mission statement. And then we've asked these questions and the opportunity for folks to provide suggestions or comments regarding PCC's mission statement. The committee will use that information to inform their process of developing the drafts before we go out to a field.
Okay, very good.
Our,
I have a
our thought
question.
process
I
was.
have a question from Mark.
Sure.
How many responses do you expect to get from this?
Campus climate, on average, we get.
No, I mean, on this question where you want someone to write about the mission statement.
You would be surprised at how much information people will tell us.
Really?
Yep, uh-huh.
Good.
Yep, if they're engaged in it, which they usually are, they will talk to us about how they feel and make suggestions.
Good.
So actually, which is a great question, which is why we bring it here, is for all of you to go back to your constituents and ask them to engage in this and do provide us with suggestions and comments regarding the mission statement. So when we launch this, if everyone's talking about it, they'll realize this is an opportunity and a forum for people to give us input into it.
So once the 3 mission statements are created, then next semester, did you already tell them what we're doing?
No, you tell me.
Oh,
Because Valerie's on this committee.
What are we doing?
well, next, in fall, we'll allow everybody to look at 3 drafts of the mission statement, and we'll have a couple of forums. So the first forum will introduce the mission statement and get feedback, right?
Mhm.
And then the second forum will reveal, it's the reveal forum, right?
Right.
We reveal the mission statement.
Okay, based
that
on the
was-
feedback you get.
Based on the
Yeah.
feedback that was chosen, yeah.
And then we'll fine tune it and then we'll be done
Right.
with it. It's important that we have a mission statement that reflects what we do. If our mission statement says that our mission statement as it is right now doesn't say anything about globalization, about serving international students, about our students going abroad. I mean, I'm not saying that that's how it is written, but a mission statement is what your institution is doing. And sometimes some schools have a mission statement saying that they are for student success. Right? That's good, right? But if that is the only thing you are doing, if your mission statement doesn't have anything about diversity, right? If it does anything, I think ours doesn't have anything about career technical education, right? Huh?
It's right here. Scroll down.
Yeah, let's take a, what does it say?
Enhance the economic
It
conditions.
has
It
career
does.
goals, like, yeah.
Right, it does.
It's broad about.
It is a little bit broad, right? Yeah, so but,
Well, I think it's better than being too technical. I think it's better to be a little more broad than actually be too technical, because again, things
Right.
change and you want to give yourself
Right.
that cushion.
then you can,
You can apply it again, just like we said right now, like we don't have CTE, but you can tell again, when looking at the economic conditions or the learning environment,
right,
again, it encompasses all of that.
we should not box ourselves.
I don't think so, yeah.
And this was actually changed from using the voc ed.
Mhm.
So if you look back
Right.
at the last time,
Okay.
that it went from
Right.
so specific to this one. I
Very
think there
good.
was a conscientious.
Crystal,
Yes.
when is the campus climate survey going to be administered so I can encourage all of student services to complete it?
We were supposed to launch on Tuesday, but because I wanted to bring this information, the College Council, we're launching tomorrow,
Okay. Very
How
good.
long will it be available?
a month.
And Mom, that's long.
It is a long time, but we also realize people are busy,
Okay.
so,
That's true too.
We'll send out
hiring
reminders.
committees doing, yeah.
but a month is usually.
That's great. Yeah, a month I think will be a good time. I'll also remind the student services managers so we can get.
Why
the
don't we
word.
have a competition? Which division will have perfect
Because,
score?
because it's an anonymous survey.
Oh, it's an anonymous survey. I guess that's defeats the purpose of having a
An
a winner.
anonymous survey. If we put it
Yeah.
as a
However, if
competition.
we self-report, maybe. Every office will be 100%.
Yeah.
So there isn't a place where they're checking whether
What
they're
department?
faculty, staff, and administrators?
Yes.
They are checking that. They'll tell us whether they're faculty, staff, adjunct. We
Yeah,
do
so the
get that
the competition should be between
Classified
students,
and-
no, student services, instruction, administrative services in the president's area.
Because we haven't had any tension between any of those groups,
Yeah.
so let's.
Well, and then, because if we do it that way, then, you know, I will encourage everyone in instruction to participate, and if just a quarter of them do, we'll win.
But Dr. Oliver said she couldn't encourage
Percentages, not number, percentages.
Look at you two, like.
What does the winner get?
Yeah, what's the
Yeah, what do they get?
That's, yeah, that makes all the difference.
I think what you ought to do is
They
just,
get,
you ought to
we
get
make a 2-minute
we get
presentation of the
bragging
academic
rights.
senate meeting.
bragging
They
rights.
get to
don't
make
do
a
bragging
3-minute
Forget it.
speak in public comment at the academic
can
senate
win.
meeting.
Thanks.
You ought to get random gift cards.
All right.
Yeah,
To
do
who?
something like that. To who? I mean, you pick them randomly. That way, everybody will be thinking, if I do this, I might get a gift card.
No,
Yeah,
because
you know.
then we're again eliminating the anonymous part, because I would have to tell you.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
It's
Never mind.
anonymous.
Well, let me say this to you, Ms. Rose, when you go vote, you sign on that little piece of paper saying that you voted, but nobody knows what you voted for. Maybe you could have put a signature thing there where then you know that you have completed the survey, but the survey is anonymous, because we don't get to see your survey, but we know that you have, maybe buy that system, ask Matt to find a system for you that costs.
Yeah, let me start that.
It's actually, we can't, the last day to purchase anything was last week.
So I guess there would be no rewards to anybody, so
I don't
that's
need
it.
to win, I just
I'd
want
say
to
make
get.
Oh, you don't want to win anymore?
I just
Let's
need
move
to
on to
go
next
there.
item. governance survey.
Okay, well, one more thing on this one, I just wanted to
okay.
point out to folks, is that this year we added in, because we didn't do it last year, the section on the review of our senior leadership. We took
Yeah.
that out last year, we put it back in. We felt we have permanent senior leadership in place, now you might wanna have the opportunity to talk about that.
Okay.
So we've added back in the questions,
Mm.
this is the section on senior leadership. Everybody good?
That's fine,
Okay.
I mean.
And it also helps you with your board.
As far as I'm concerned, you can ask any question you want.
I know.
Yeah, that's a good, those are
I
good
don't
questions.
worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are back in this year. Last reminder is the governance survey is going to go out again. It will probably go out about mid-May to all of the standing committees and college councils. So that's gonna go out. If anybody else wants me to send it to other groups, you'll have to let me know. So could everybody please make sure that I have the correct membership on your standing committees? Because this is again, an email survey and it gets sent down to them individually.
Okay.
So again, this is part of what we said we would do for our accreditation standards, is that we would continually evaluate our governance structure and make sure it's effective.
Crystal,
Yes.
when Katmani started, I notified her that she's from Dr. Verdian, the co-chair for the Health and Safety Committee. Could you meet with her to help her understand like who's on that committee?
What did I do with that?
Yes, I would be happy to do
What,
that.
I heard my name mentioned in that.
Well, you asked Dr. Kuan Chow to co-chair the Health and Safety Committee.
Oh, yeah, the recommendation was made to me and I went along.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I'll talk to him.
All right.
That's it. So the governance survey should go out in May. We have a lot of surveys out there right now.
Thanks surveying people.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
What would you like to take us around?
Are we done?
Announcement? You got me in trouble already. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Any announcements? No? Oh, yes, Miss.
As you may know, there are a lot of balloons and candy going around this week. Classified Senate had a very successful fundraiser in which we'll be splitting the proceeds with the foundation
I got
office.
3 balloons.
You're
Three,
loved.
3
You're
sets of
loved.
balloons.
So I just want to say thank you to everyone who supported that effort.
Did you get it?
I got 0 balloons.
I got 3.
way less popular than
Let's go around to show us who got more. I got 3 sets.
Oh, we're still delivering today and tomorrow,
I'm
so.
one lie.
I didn't get any, but I bought about 40.
Oh, you bought?
Yeah.
You didn't send them to me, I can tell you that. That is your name, the balloon.
It's like,
Yes, I saw the balloons in her.
I thought it was more of appreciate our classified
It
stuff.
was
so I just
classified
did more
appreciation,
of
how
that.
come I got it?
not everyone.
It was staff.
It was staff appreciation.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Don't feel
You
bad.
mean those emails have been going
I
on?
have also.
Oh, the balloon thing. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was flowers.
I got one.
no, it's balloons and candy.
Oh.
We're fine.
Okay, so any other announcements? Well, any motion to adjourn?
$40.
All right, and second?
Wait.
I'll second.
All right, meeting is adjourned.